Hello guys, today once again we're here to extend our programming lecture. And in this lecture, now first of all I would like to do a recap. In our previous program we learned that how to include the files that contain all the important code that is required by a program to do certain tasks like output, input, like break line. Things like that are included in IOStream, input output stream file. And if we want to use string variable, string literal, we will have to use string class. Actually there are classes in this program, the C++, sorry. I don't know what am I saying today. So string is a class that is made by C++ developers. In the end of the session, you'll also be able to develop your own classes, your own objects that will work according to you. It's like creating a whole new data type, like integer, double, character, bool, string here. String, you see, is a bit different. Like bool and character and double, these are primitive data types and they don't change their font when I write them. But string, on the other hand, is a bit strange thing. When I write string, when I declare a string variable, the font doesn't change like it does on integer, double, character, bool, and string. So it's a signal that this is a class developed, and this class is written in the file name string. Okay. So similarly, when you'll declare classes at the end of the course, you will also be declaring by putting a name of your data type and then naming the data type and then assigning it the value. Okay, so don't worry, we'll get to that point together and slowly. Yeah, so I was on the recap. We learned how to output a text. To do output, we will use the function called cout and then stream insertion operator, and then write the text hello world in between the inverted quotes because we want to write a string and we want the string to output, so we write this. And then another stream insertion operator, and then we'll write ENDL for the sake of what? For the sake of beauty in our output. So here in my int, my double, my car, and this section of the code is all about declaration and assigning the value to. Actually, there is a word called initialization. Now what I'm doing here is initialization. There's a difference between initialization and declaration. Just declaring the value, not assigning it its value. Sorry, declaring the variable means writing the name only and then putting a statement terminator right here and then nothing in the front. Now this syntax is the declaration syntax, right? If you assign it a value on the spot, this is called initialization. Assigning the value at the moment you declare the variable, this is called initialization. Initialization is different and declaration is something different. Now if I try to change the value, if I say my integer now is equal to 34, now this syntax right here is called assignment. We use assignment operator for this. We use assignment operator for initialization as well, but when we want to do assignment, not initialization, I will say again, this syntax here is of declaration. I'm confused, I'm so confused. This syntax is assignment, okay? So we are assigning the value to my integer the second time. So the second time when we give it a value, it's called assignment. Now even if I remove this thing, now this is declaration, this is assignment, and there is no initialization included in this functions, in this syntax, okay? So this was the difference between initialization in declaration and in assignment. So these are the three different things. Then we learned how to do basic operation on these. And there is another operator in programming that is quite amazing. It's called remainder operator. Now there is a division gives you quotient, and now this one will give you remainder. So if I output C this time, this will give, okay, I haven't saved the file, Control S, no, here, 0, because when we divide A with B, we are left with 0 remainder. Okay, if I try it with 3, then we have something different. Then we have 1, which is the remainder in the division process. So this is the remainder operator. The percentage sign is actually the remainder operator in the programming languages. Okay, so be aware of that. Then we learned about post increment, pre-increment, post decrement, and pre-decrement operators. If we are doing post increment, depending on the statement we are using, like here I'm using the statement of doing an output on the screen. So it will first do an output and then it will increase because it's post increment. If I remove it and put it in the back, this is pre-increment. It will first increment and then display the X variable. So this is the difference between post and pre-increment and decrement operators. So you know it now. For today's lecture, we'll be doing selection structures, means how do our program decides. Now yes, we are going to create the programs in our life that will have the ability to decide between the two values. Like if we want to make a software that works like to assigning grades to the student depending on their marks. So if we feed the information in our program, we code it in a way that if we have certain percentage to certain percentage, we will assign it grade B, and if we fall below the grade the percentage, and if we fall in between this interval, we will assign it the grade C. So this is all about selection structure, giving an ability to our program to select between multiple values. Then we are going to do the loops. Now loops, as the name suggests, is doing a process, executing a statement multiple times. That is actually controlled by a variable or another selection structure inside. Because if we want to break our loop, we are again going to use the selection structure. I will explain to you how. So without further ado, let's get started. I'll remove this program right here and start the selection structure. Now the basic syntax of selection structure is code snippet for if. I'll just select this. So you can see here in the round brackets we have our condition, the condition on which we'll be deciding something, and then what we will decide to do if this condition becomes true will be written in the code section. Now this is comment. You know how to do comments, as I explained in earlier part. So this is that readability that I was trying to explain. For the sake of readability, the code snippet for if statement from Microsoft is given like this. So we can now understand where goes what. Okay, so consider if I have an integer of name A and it has the value 12. Now this was one statement. I'm putting a statement terminator, and I want to decide if A is greater than 13, then see out, and I want to print a text. A is greater than 13, and then ENDL. I suggest you start using ENDL and also see what happens if you remove that, because more you remove, more practice you do with this ENDL and start putting it on the places where they don't go and start taking them out of the places where they should go, you'll understand the better what is the purpose of this ENDL. So if A is greater than 13, it will print a is greater than 13. Now go ahead and run this code and you will see what's the output. There is nothing. There is nothing that is output. So because a is 12, it's not greater than 13, our program has decided to overlook this part and return 0 to the operating system and exit the execution cycle. Now if I try to make it 14 here and do this, it will print a is greater than 13 because now a is greater than 13. This condition got true and it will work like this. Now I can do it in manual way. I can give it true variable because condition can be true or false. Okay, so if I write true, it's still going to run. I'm sorry, it's still going to run. A is greater than 13. If I write false, it's not going to run. Okay, so it's not there's no output here. So this was the simplest selection structure. How would you select from the, how would you take simple decisions? There is only one way if you want to do it or if you don't want to do it. Okay, you're getting, if you want to do it and if you don't want to do it. Okay, so there are two ways you have: want to do it and want to overlook it. Don't want to do it, you want to ignore it, like we ignored a is greater than 13 and did nothing and went on the next statement that was return 0 to the operating system. So this is if statement. Now we have another part. We have another statement that is called if, let me write the name. If statement. And I can give it a topic of if else statement. Okay, and if I write if, it's going to give me some other code snippet. Which one is if else? This one, if else. I'll just do that one again. Write if and then choose if L. L mean else. It's just short and I don't know why did they do it like if else. Yeah, but it says if else over here and there's an instrument read more, so there's nothing available. So just click it and you get a code snippet of if else situation here. This is a two-way selection structure. You have two ways to do. You want to select something between two. If we have true condition, this part will execute. Otherwise, this will execute. Okay? So let me just demonstrate this. I'll have a variable that is integer b is equal to 100. I will say if b equal 100. It's just like a program that your dad says if you get 100 marks in your mathematics, he'll give you a computer, a new gaming computer. So I get a gaming PC. So it's another decision that he has to do. So in this program, we're just computerizing that part of our situation. Otherwise, see out, you get nothing. Okay, I don't know why do I automatically just capitalize E. Now if we have b equals to 100, now this is equal sign in programming languages, guys. The simple equal is assignment operator to assign a value to something, but when it comes double, double equal sign, it is a sign, and this is actually the normal equal sign that we use in our daily lives. Okay, so if we have b equal to 100, we get a gaming PC. If otherwise, we have nothing. Okay, but we have this 100. I get a gaming PC because I have 100. And if I have something else other than 100, I get nothing. Even if I try to go above 100, I still get nothing. So this is the way computer decides. It's quite strict. It doesn't understand, oh, you just scored 104 from 100. You're kind of extraordinary student, but you still get nothing. Because here your dad is a computer. And it's your fault because you are teaching him that only if you get 100, you get a gaming PC. Otherwise you get nothing. So this is the kind of program you don't want to make. So this was a two-way selection. You have to execute something, and if you don't have that, you will execute something else. Okay, it's two-way structure. Then we have multiple if statement. Okay, we have if else if statement. Now this is multiple decisions, more than two. Another, we have code snippet if elif. Click it and you get if, else if, else if. You can go as much as you want. Okay, so I'm not going to use the snippet over here because I want to explain how does it work. So just write simple if b equal 100, see out, I get gaming PC. Again, now we want to have another way. We don't want to stuck on 100 on one decision. We need to make multiple decisions. So we are going to use else if, then another situation, if b is less than 100 but, so this is and. Okay, if you know about and operation, means if they're both true, this will execute. And this is or operator. If any one of these two statements are what I'm going to write are true, this will happen. If b is greater than equal to 60, see out, you make your dad proud. That's what you can do with those marks. Okay, again, why can't I stop putting this E in capital? And then we have another selection, else if. So more selections you want to make, more else if you use. Now this time we want to come below. B is less than 60 and B is greater than equal to 40. See out. You make your dad smile. Wait. Okay, so in these marks, you only make your dad smile. And an else statement that has to execute if none of these statements are correct. See out. You get nothing. Okay, so this is multiple selection structures. The more you want to have, the more else if you add. More decisions you want to make, more else if you add. And this is the default case, else. You can go ahead and remove this part, but doesn't. So it will just behave like if none of this execute, it will come out of this selection structure and execute the next statement, that is return 0, or any other statement that you have. But I'll just add this one. So let's play with this. And meanwhile, I'll just comment out the other programs. I'll just comment out the outputs so it doesn't disturb us. Okay, so now the outputs are, so this is the B variable on basis of which I'm getting something. So I'll just run the code. It says you get nothing. Why? Because there is no selection that we did on 104 that is above 100. We were using equal to 100, less than 100, and greater than equal to 60, less than 60, and greater than equal to 40, and below that, and other cases like that. Even if it's above 100 or below 100 or any other value that is apart from these three cases, you get nothing. So if you can just write greater than equal to 100, but it's quite obvious that nobody get marks above 100. So if I make it 90, our program is going to decide something. And what's that decision? That decision is you make your dad proud. And below that you get your dad smile. And it's between 60 and 40. I have 45, that becomes, okay, you make your dad smile. Okay, so this statement just got executed. So this was selection structure. I'm gonna end it now. So after doing the selection structures, now we have to do our loops. Loops are quite important. You are going to use them again and again in your life as long as you program, because loops are quite important when it comes to password authentication or other programs like this. So we have three types of loops. Loops. Wait, I should have it. Okay, I'm not going to have it. So there are three kind of loops. We have simplest while loop, we have do while loop, and we have for loop. And these three loops work different depending upon the usage we want. So we'll start from the simplest, that is while loop. While loop, and I'll use the code snippet for the while loop, and you can see the condition once again, like if statement goes in here, and your code that you want to iterate over many times, the times you are going to specify will come here. So I want to have a variable called count, and and I want to start it from 0. Here I'm initializing this with 0, and I'm going to put in the condition, the test that it will be checking. So condition will be my count variable, it should go on until it's become 3. Until that, we will write India, Pakistan, rock. Okay, so when Indians and Pakistan will become united once, hopefully, and I dream of it, then we'll rock. There is no other power on this earth that can defeat us. So I want to print this 3 times, and I'm going to increment my variable count, which is an integer. So this is post increment, but doesn't matter because it's a single line So it will just increment. Doesn't matter if I put it on the pre-decrement syntax or post-decrement. So if I play this India Pakistan rock 4 times, 0th time, first time, second time, and third time, and when it went to 4th time, when it was 4, it came and checked. Oh my god, it was 4. 4 is not less than equal to 3, so the condition was falsified and the loop was broken. You can also put in the true variable in between, and you can run an infinite loop. It will never stop. Okay, I hope so. I made it stop because I don't know how to stop that. So if you want to stop it, you again want to have a selection structure in between. Selection count is, if count is equal to 3, then break statement will break the loop. You see? So now Pakistan India rock, when it was 3rd time, the loop got broken. In our previous program, when it was 4th time, the loop was broken, but now on the 3rd time it was broken, so it is run 3 times. Okay, soon after it was converted to 3, it went into selection structure. The program selected its choice that it is now 3, so I should select this structure, I should enter, and when it entered, it broke the code, the loop. This was while loop. It's quite simple. Now we're going to move on the next one, that is do while loop. Write do, enter code snippet. So this is like code comes here, condition comes here. Okay, so I want to run my code for 3 times. I'll just have a different variable for this one. Int do count is equal to 0, and condition should be do count is equal to 2, and have a, wait, I can best explain it with a different thing. I will have a variable, bool variable, bool check is equal to false. Okay, so I'm going to take an input now in a variable called, just remember that I had to do the cin operator. I have a video in my channel, and I think it's lecture 3 or lecture 2 of the previous session that I started. You can check from there, and because I've explained cin operator with pretty much details over there in that lecture, I'm not going to go over again. You can go ahead and check that program. I'll leave the link in the description. So there's an integer called input is equal to 100, nothing. I'll just declare input, cout, and input. Then cin is the operator that we need, and we are going to put the operators other way around. Now this is called stream exertion operator, and what we want to take input in, we want to take input in the variable called input. Okay, so the program is going to stop and going to take input in this, and I'm going to stop the loop if not equal to 100. Now if someone enters 100, oh sorry, not if, I'm going to check input. If input is equal to 100, the loop will break. This is the condition. If you enter 100, 100 not equal, input not equal to 100, that is input doesn't have 100. So as long as input doesn't have 100, do while loop is going to go on. And for the first time, it is going to go on no matter if the condition is false here, because it's the do while loop. The very first time it will work, the second time it will check the condition. So this will work like this. And the third loop is, I'll just have input named input equal to 100. See out. Do while executed. So you can see we have 100, which is the case that we need to break this loop. But still it will say enter input. Oh, I just wrote it on the wrong side. Here. And now I'm going to run the code. You can see do while executed. Even though the case was false, input had 100 and this case should have failed, but still do while loop executed for the first time. That is what do while loop does. Then comes for loop. Now for loop is have an integer. I'll just go on with the simple, and count is replaced by the number of times you want to run your loop. I want to run it for 5 times, and this is the increment operator that I was using up above in this step, in this count variable. Here we have increment operator integrated in the parameters of this. Now see out for executed, and then ENDL operator. So you see for executed for 5 times, 1 2 3 4 5. When the I was 0, I was 1, I was 2, I was 3, I was 4, and when it was 5, now 5 is not less than 5, so this case have failed, so for loop broke. So this was the note on loops, and I believe the explanation was quite simple, so I'm not going to explain it in Urdu because this lecture was pretty straightforward. Okay, so go ahead and practice this program. You'll understand it. Till then, keep smiling, stay smiling, seek smiles, spread smiles.